There we go. Here it comes.
Next time, I'll do it. Next time I'll press it. That way you'll already be here.
I appreciate that.
I feel like you always are the one that comes around.
I do press the button the most.
That's true.
Anyway, hi, I'm Eric with CineBlab.
I'm Chris with CineBlab.
And today we are talking about Halo, the series.
Halo, the series.
So we just literally finished watching it there on Paramount Plus, and you know, I'm blown away by this show.
Yeah, because blown away can mean good and bad, right?
Definitely. I'm being a little bit ambiguous about which one I mean.
It's being facetious.
So this is a show that has a $90 million plus budget associated with this first season here. There's a quadrillion executive producers on this show, including Steven Spielberg, and just tons of people here. The writers also, Kyle Killen and Steve Kane are producers on this. There's so much money. There's so many cooks in the kitchen on this show. And my initial response to this show is that there's too many people trying to do too many things on this. They're trying to please so many people, like fans of the video games and also just like fans of great action entertainment as well. And it's a bit of a mess, this first episode.
Yeah. I have to agree. I find it hard to develop any interest in the characters of the show.
Yeah.
If you had to, besides Master Chief, I don't remember anyone else.
So I get that's
the only name I remember, Master Chief.
That's a good transition into the cast here, right? I'm gonna smooth transition into this discussion about the cast. So Master Chief, the main Halo good guy, is Pablo Schreiber is the actor there. He's a hunk. There's a scene where he takes off his helmet and he's revealed to be a total hunk. And then we also got the character of Quan Ha Bu, and she's a teenage girl from the planet of Madrigal. From Encanto fame, the family Madrigal.
Yeah. They definitely live in a different planet because that's not Earth.
Yeah, they're eating some weird. There's a scene where the teenagers are bored, and so they're eating like some wacky nuts to get high or something like that. And I was like, teenagers, teenagers.
They didn't look like there was much else to do though.
Besides throw rocks around or something like that. The planet Madrigal was about the size of a football field, approximately. But
they tell us that. The whole point of the rebel group there is because they're taking too much of their resources, but we're not privy to any of that.
We're immediately thrust into the political world of Halo, the series, immediately.
They don't even show us this planet's resources like in a glaring shot. Nothing.
I'm not sure what resources they might have.
They only showed 2 different shots from this planet, right?
Yeah,
and that was it. And there was nothing in these shots. It's like rocks.
I mean, so. Let's hop right into this, right? Okay, so the year is 2552, okay, and we start the TV show on a planet called Madrigal, which appears to be sort of a desert-like planet, and it's it's cool or whatever. They've got different plants and different species. It's totally not just Texas or something like that where they're shooting this, and they're hanging out, and there's a ton of extras, by the way.
I think I understand now.
But
when she grabs the drugs, which is like a mushroom, basically eggs.
Yeah, it's like a little potato or something.
Yeah. She says that's like the strongest fuel in the galaxy.
Something like that. I can't remember.
And also drugs. So I'm assuming that's what they're taking from the planet, I guess. They're harvesting that fuel.
Yeah, that's part of it, yeah. They definitely don't go into detail on that. Maybe they will later, but the impression that we get immediately is, here's these rebels. You're supposed to feel sorry for this group of rebels because it's a sci-fi show, and like rebels are always the good guy in a sci-fi show or whatever. And so in the sci-fi, world, the rebels are always the good guy. And so these rebels are like, oh man, I don't like, the Spartans, and I don't like, the Navy or whatever. What do they call it? The Navy.
Do we even SEALs? Did we get into the
UNSC? Okay, so the United Nations Space Council or something like that is like the main group of humans that are trying to defend planet Earth from the Covenant, which are the bad guy aliens or whatever. And there's also like even factions within the UNSC, which is like the UNSC is, asking us for stuff to fight their war against the Covenant. It's like because bad guys and everything. And so, I mean, that kind of transitions a little bit later, which is where the UNSC tries to ask the survivor, of Madrigal to work with them, and she says no.
Yeah, a single survivor.
And so they kind of get into that a tiny bit or whatever. But like we're thrust into this like political world where like a war is ongoing between aliens and humans, and like the most badass people around are the Spartans, which are the super genetically modified soldiers with AI machines that like help them to be able to fight this advanced alien race that's got super blasters and like machines
shields,
that shield them and make them invisible and all this stuff. The Covenant has all these like really cool tools or whatever, and like basic humans basically have no chance at all against the Covenant. Anyway, they're hanging out on Madrigal. The kids are popping drugs and everything on the planet Madrigal, and then it's
interesting, right?
The kids actually that are tripping on mushrooms start getting blasted by the Covenant. So like
they start running towards them.
The 17-year-old girl's like, man, I'm so high right now. Get blasted, and her guts are all over the place, and her blood gets splattered all over this Quan Ha's face.
I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah,
I feel like they went hard on the gore.
Maybe that was like one of the cooler parts of the show.
They went hard.
But anyway, so this like massacre sequence occurs for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so, where the Covenant starts blasting everybody, and they find the women and the children, and they start blasting the women and the children, and this girl's dad is also like the leader of the village or something like that.
He was like the leader of the resistance.
Yeah, the leader of the resistance, and he ends up dying too. He gets a nice old sword through the belly and everything, and so like
saved it though.
I'm supposed to like feel bad, for the people of Madrigal that are getting like slaughtered or whatever. Like that's like supposed to be the kind of takeaway here is like the Covenant is absolutely horrible. They'll like attack anybody out of the blue or whatever, but like they're bad guys or whatever. But like I didn't buy it that hard, to be honest with you. And I think part of the reason maybe like why the Covenant threat isn't that powerful in the show is the bad CGI. Yeah, honestly, I think that the CGI for a $90 million budget or whatever, that wasn't a lot of it going towards the CGI, because they fall into this like trap actually that I think a lot of video game referenced like movies and TV shows or whatever do, which is like referencing the video games too heavily. And so there's this movie director whose name is Yui Boll, and he's like kind of famous for making really bad like adaptations like of video games. Like House of the Dead was one that he did, and like he would literally take like screenshots from the video game and like put it in his like movie, you know what I mean? And, like sound effects from the movies and put it in there. And it's so cheesy to like have like 2001 video game like sounds and graphics like in a 2022 like epic TV presentation. But that's what they do for this. So the Spartans show up, the Halo good guys show up and start blasting back at the Covenant, and it's it was
no
bad.
Grunts. Cons up warning.
No, there was only the brutes.
I expected to see the grunts. I like them in general. I think they're.
I mean, they look.
They add like
the aliens
comic relief
themselves were fine, like the way that they looked and the effect of the plasma shield protecting them from being shot for a few shots and everything, but it looked like Power Rangers when the Spartans showed up. Man, they were like zooming in and like it just looks so bad.
I feel like you had that nail in the head.
The movement, like of the characters, the CGI Master Chief characters and everything, and like even the aliens flying through the air, it was like really bad. Honestly, it looked like kind of ragdolly and like really fast, like the motion. It just wasn't like true to life. I mean, I understand that it's supposed to be like this, but it was way too video gamey.
Everything, including like sets, costumes. Yeah. I wasn't a fan.
I want to be more fair.
I wanted to like it.
Yeah.
It's not like I didn't want to like it.
I don't think that
and I'm not a fan either. I'm not a fanboy. Like I think maybe I own one Halo and play the other one like at a neighbor's house with him or something. Like I'm not a fan. It's not like I had certain. I didn't even have any expectations. Like I think maybe I knew about the show when they announced it like 20 years ago. Because the show's been in production hell forever, I think.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even aware that it came out till I saw it online.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in this with serious expectations from the show. Like I didn't. It's not like I wanted it to be anything in particular. It was just like It wasn't even interesting.
Well, I think that,
like,
you raised like a question.
Your first episode is not interesting. What are you doing?
Well, so let's talk about this question, which I think is what you're getting at, which is who is this show for, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's
in a way, question. Like I think that young children is sort of one target for this. You know, like sort of the 7 to like 13 crowd, like kids that are not too young, but like, you know, like the Power Rangers sort of action figure type age, you know, the comic book age. That is one group for this for sure. And some of the like the lame CGI, like kids won't notice that as much, you know what I mean? And so you get away with that more. And then obviously the other demographic is like super fans of the video games, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sort of in a similar camp as you. I actually didn't have an original Xbox, but my friend did. Who lived down the street. So I used to go over to his house and I would watch him play the entire game and I would play with him. You know, we'd do multiplayer. And that was 2001 when that game came out. So we're talking 21 years ago is, that's crazy to say.
That is crazy
21 years ago is when I was playing Halo and I was probably like, 10 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it was fun. You know what I mean? I loved it. I loved being on the Halo. The graphics were beautiful and it was fun. You know, like throwing grenades at the little grunts and go wah! When they blew up and the wart hogs and the banshees and the sniper rifles. It was fun playing Halo when I was a kid.
It really got that competitive aspect
down.
Mm-hmm. Like it was fun to play with people.
Even when I was in high school, we would take like projectors and we would project the Xbox on it and we would play on like the big screen in school. It was like an event when people were playing Halo. When I was in middle school and when I was in high school, it was like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like everybody played it.
It was the only game I ever seen like, because you know how you can connect Xboxes with other Xboxes? Mm-hmm. Halo's the only game I ever seen people do that for. Yeah, I would come in and there'd be 6, 7, 8 Xboxes hooked up around like things in different shops in my school. Like everybody was playing Halo. It was a phenomenon when I was in like middle school and like huge. High school. Huge.
All 4 years of high school. So like up until like 2005 or 6 or whatever, which is when I think the second one came out. Like the first one was a very big deal. And I played a little bit of the second one and a little bit of the third one too, but I never actually got an Xbox for myself. I was a Nintendo PlayStation person, but I was like really strong on the periphery of Halo. I wasn't in the know when it came to Halo, but I was right on that outside of the know, you know, and I would hear things.
Cultural osmosis.
That's right. Yeah, I was like, aware of I supported the Halo world and I was aware of the Halo world, but I was not dressing up as Master Chief for Halloween. Yeah. Right? I was not asking for a Halo, this TV series. I was not asking for Halo movies. I wasn't even asking for like a sequel. You know what I mean? I was just like, I was happy to be on board. And so I'm probably not the correct audience for Halo, the series. And these are the people that like know what, Master Chief's real name is.
Would like someone who's like a fan.
Yeah, this is someone that bought a Microsoft cell phone so they could talk to Cortana. Yeah. That's the audience that they want for this.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I think you got it.
So knowing that like I'm not a super fan, but I feel like
fundamentally, regardless of your target audience, your job is to do a good job, right? Like something that. And
so it's supposed to be sort of low-hanging fruit and like easy for them to attract the audience of existing Halo fans, right? And so they try to branch outside of Haloism to like attract other people. And I think that's what the character of Quan Ha Bu is, which is the teenage girl there. And so obviously we talked about like this slaughter, right? And so why do they show this elongated slaughter on screen? Number one, it's exciting. It's a good action sequence with lots of shooting and bodies flying all over the place. The other part is you get free trauma out of it, right? So like, what's the shortest way to like build a character that people love, which is like show them experience trauma on screen so you can relate to them, and everything. And so she's the only survivor of like this clan of rebels, and she has to keep not only the rebel movement alive and what they believed in alive, but also physically has to stay alive while both the Covenant and the UNSC are trying to murder her. You know what I mean? So like everyone's trying to murder this teenage girl, but she's too much of a toughie to just die, to just roll over and die. She's got a mission to do, which I think is I
wonder how she's gonna.
I don't know.
How is she gonna add to the plot?
Right, because she doesn't have superpowers.
Yeah,
she's never fired a gun.
So, how that character is gonna develop through the story?
Well, getting into another thing that I don't like about this first episode is what I'm going to call MacGuffin addiction. There's a major and incredible MacGuffin in this TV show, which is the Forerunner artifact, which is this stupid fucking diamond-looking rock that he touches that starts glowing and gives him flashbacks and unlocks suppressed memories in his mind, and also has the ability to selectively turn on and off electricity depending on certain contexts.
Yeah.
And so this magical MacGuffin not only saves him, twice, basically, once from being shot by a Covenant guy that was hiding in the shadows, so was about to snipe him until he
could have still shot him at any point.
And then the second time, when
decided not to and leave.
All his friends were about to kill him the second time, and it saved him a second time by electropulsing their guns.
Yeah.
So
it was like an EMP, right? Because everything
it's an EMP psychic unlocker, and also they revealed this other scene where they're looking at his vitals after touching the artifact, like in the laboratory, and that's Dr. Halsey, which we'll talk about later. She's such an unimportant and uninteresting character in this. But there's this blonde-haired doctor.
She seems to be like the leader, right, of the Spartan program.
She at least was the creator of it, and I think that this other lady, Admiral Margaret, is like the leader because she's the director of the Office of Naval Intelligence. And there's some like scenes where this Indian lady, which is Admiral Margaret, is arguing with Dr. Halsey. Who later
they argue like 3 times, right? Obviously,
she's like, I don't agree with your methods, and she's like, I'm just trying to help. So like this is like supposed to be like high drama, which is like it's my way or the highway, and she's like, but I'm the smart one.
So I think they're throwing all this development to all the side characters because maybe the Spartans themselves they didn't really seem like much of a character till he woke up, right? Till he touched the thing and realized, oh hey, I'm a human being.
Yeah. Quan Ha is a big character. Dr. Halsey and Admiral Margaret are not big characters, and that obviously leaves the main person that you're watching all the time, which is the Spartans or Master Chief himself, and his friends. Like, are they enough to carry the show? And the obvious answer is
and it looks like it's just gonna be the refugee girl and him, right?
Mm-hmm, Master Chief, because he abandoned his friends. So it's just
those 2 characters.
Pretty much, like
that's how the first episode ended, at least.
Basically,
and he's like a rebel, right? So I don't think if the HSCN or whatever it was called.
Well, for anybody,
they're gonna play like an antagonist to Master Chief, right? Because he like broke the law or whatever.
I mean, they gotta hunt him down now, because he broke the law.
He's AWOL.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. A little filling in here on the storyline, right? He rescues the girl Quan Ha-bu and takes her back. Yeah. And then while she's on the ship flying back, to the UNSC headquarters, they telegram her and like with a CGI, Princess Leia hologram. I was like, hey, do you want to make some videos and like declare that the Covenant's bad with us and like unite and stuff? And she's like, no. I don't like you. My dad doesn't like you. And she's like, no, that's really too bad. I mean, that's okay. We can still be friends, right? And she's like, no.
You were there, right? When they just murder your entire group?
And so she hangs up and she's like, good stuff. All right, well, the teenage girl doesn't want to make videos with us. Yeah. So we're going to kill her. Master Chief, as soon as we land, I want you to bring her in and we're going to execute her because she doesn't like us. This is like the emotional depth of like the decision making going on here at the organization that presumably employs Master Chief, right? Yeah. And so Master Chief, after touching the artifact, like grows a little bit of a heart. Like he all of a sudden he cares just a little bit.
And not just his heart, right? He gained superpowers. Was that implied?
I don't know at all.
They were saying like his numbers were like off the charts.
Respiratory system is really good.
Yeah, so not only did he grow a heart,
up,
he grew everything.
Like he became more jacked and everything.
Yeah. And they're already like superhumans, aren't they? So he's like a super of a super. This guy's next level now.
The other thing is like, yeah, so anyway, he rescues her, right, from getting killed by touching the magical MacGuffin, and then, you know, Master Chief and the teenager fly off together in a spaceship all alone.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah. They have an unlikely alliance.
Alliance. There you go. Yeah, that's the word. So yeah, like, does it appeal to me? This doesn't really appeal to me, to be honest with you. I was confused by it or whatever. Like, I don't like the fact that they rely on this MacGuffin so much to like advance the story, and the fact that like any problem they have, you just fucking rub this MacGuffin and like he just fucking instantly personalizes your rescue for you.
I think that's fundamentally the issue.
The MacGuffin? I don't think it is.
I think the MacGuffin, the writing.
I think it's the fact that Master Chief is boring. He goes,
yeah.
But she goes, Master Chief, I really want to get to know you. Tell me about yourself. And he goes,
but I could say definitely I think the writing's like the weakest aspect of the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you're going to have a weak aspect, I don't think it can be your writing.
I mean, like, so one of the things that I think they try to make work on this is like, the story's not really that interesting and doesn't matter or whatever. Like, it's all an excuse at the end of the day to fucking blast some aliens and to like, you know, have big action scenes, right?
Yeah.
And so like you have to like feel like you are Master Chief, because in the video games, Master Chief is like a conduit for yourself. Like you are him in the story doing this. And so if you're watching him,
you saw that scene where they made like they put where he have his POV and it looks like the game, and
they have the HUD over his visor. Yeah. There's like a lot of like video gaminess to the show that I think.
But at the same time, I feel like they don't embrace it fully. Like they're like, no, like we take ourselves seriously here.
It's kind of campy and ridiculous, and yet they try really hard for this to be a serious, like dramatic, like kind of action.
Lean more to either side, not be where it stands.
It's true. It does sort of like skirt this line of like, am I trying to be funny in a certain way, or am I trying to like have fun like with the action, or am I trying to like touch people's hearts with like this like horrible like trauma that they're going through, and he's like throwing his whole life away to like risk it for this girl who's a rebel, who's against everything that he stands for. How brave and how stunning, and you know, it's like I want to care, but I don't care that much, basically. So I guess like I'm not sure how long we've been going and how much time we have left.
Honestly, I looked earlier and it's flipped.
Anyway, so I goofed up on that part, but I'll just end it where we ended. But what do I think could be done to like make this better, right? I think that it should be more fun in a certain way, sort of like the way that like the Mandalorian is fun. You know, like the Mandalorian is carrying around the baby, and when you think about it, like Baby Yoda sort of is the same thing as Quan Ha. She's like his like goofy little kid that's like gonna get him killed, you know, out there. But he's like has to. Quan Ha Bu is her name, her character's name. So Master Chief now has to carry around his own version of a Baby Yoda, which is a 17-year-old girl. You know what I mean? And like they get into wacky hijinks up next while everyone's trying to chase them down or something like that. Like
I would be happy if that happened. Like if next episode we play next episode and it was like complete plagiarism of The Mandalorian, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah,
because it'd be better than what we watched.
I don't like the CGI. I don't like the action sequences. Like I do kind of like that we're getting a little bit of a twist from Master Chief, which is that like, oh, he's got feelings. He just rescued a girl. I don't like the fact that this MacGuffin.
I kind of didn't want him to take off his hat. I was like,
I think it was.
He never does.
Maybe we
never ever seen his face. Like, why are you taking off his hat? We don't care. Like,
at some point, that has to happen, and it did happen in The Mandalorian too, where you realize it was Pedro Pascal underneath the hat and everything. I do think maybe it happened like too soon, but at the same point, I think that they also recognized, like Steven Spielberg and crew, that like only seeing his mask or whatever like will turn people off, and that like they want that humanity or whatever, and so. it's hard for me to know if that was the right call or not to like reveal what he looked like too soon. But like
in the first episode,
maybe maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work, or whatever. But like, there's so many other things going on that like it's hard for me to even like analyze that one thing. Like, was that
something else there? They're changing who his character is, but they didn't give us any time with who his character was
before the change.
Yeah, so we just met him, and he's now doing a 180 from this history, right? But we don't. We never saw this. We don't know.
I mean, we do get a flavor of that, right? Which is during the initial quote rescue thing where he shows up, which is that the girl who's alive, Kwan Ha, like he's like. He just starts walking away from her without like really addressing her at all, and she's like, "You're just gonna leave me here?" And like he's like shown as kind of aloof and like kind of like non-feeling and just like there to do his mission and everything, and like leaves her behind, which causes her to get knocked down by that escaping Covenant guy who flies off to tell his leaders, that the Spartans showed up or whatever. Like, if he would have been a little more caring, she wouldn't have like fallen down and been unconscious in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And all this like nonsense. So like you get a taste of him being kind of basically a dick, to be frank. And then he like
they're like brainwashed, right? They're like,
but it did happen like relative. It did happen really quickly, like the switch, and like you're not, and if he keeps it up like this, and all of a sudden he's caring for the rest of the show, like how's he still going to be able to be a badass? I mean, sure, they'll do it, but so I think that there's a lot. It's got almost nowhere to go but up, you know what I mean? But like, this wasn't my favorite opening to a TV show ever. And based off of this, like, I don't know actually if I would want to keep watching. And quite frankly, I don't know if I will keep watching episode 2 of Halo the series. I'm gonna give it like episode 1, which is called Contact. I'm gonna give this like a 6.5 out of 10 because I think it was visually beautiful. I think that like some of the sci-fi scenes and the extras were like epic. There was some good music cues also where things happen, and the Sean Callery, he does the music, has some string, things like do 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 do. There's some interesting stuff in here, but like overall, I didn't care very much about the characters, and like it was just a bunch of like whatever to me. So that's my rating. What do you think?
If it's something that you are curious about and you want to see it and you can't do without, I mean, go for it. But I would hard pass on this, dude. Hard pass. Yeah, it's like a waste of time.
Do you think it'll get better?
No.
Really?
Not at all.
Well, what's your score? Give me a score, though.
I do agree with you that I feel like the only way it can go is up, but it's like I have
but like so
no hopes.
Yeah. Well, tell me your score though.
I like to do out of 5. That's it.
Out of 10.
Out of 10?
Yeah.
2?
A 2? Okay, a 3? Alright, I'm locking in at 3. Remember, Steven Spielberg's feelings are really determined by...
He does great work, though, but this is not it.
I think it's off to a rough start, but I want to give it another episode, another chance, you know what I mean? But anyway, that's my thoughts on Halo, the series. Yeah. We're going to call this episode CineBlab, by the way. This is our first television, not cinema review episode.
I like that.
So it's CineBlab.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to catch on.
CineBlab.
I don't even know if the
CineBlab that would be
actually.
CineBlab, would be a like a series within CineBlab, right?
Yeah. Series within the series. Yeah. Micro series.
You want to check out the Marvel one? That one's pretty good.
What's that?
The Marvel one that just came out. The first episode was pretty good. It's called Moon Knight. It's like some guy with dissociative disorder. It has multiple personalities.
Is this a movie right now?
Not a series.
What's
the Marvel one. It's from Marvel.
I've never heard of this. What's the name of it?
Moon Knight.
Why do I know nothing about this? Moon Knight?
I think he's not like he's kind of like a low... He's not a popular character. Apparently, all his issues, all his serializations, like they canceled them because they don't sell well. All of them, I think, all of them.
I feel like we're like starting to reach the bottom of the barrel with like comic book movies in a certain way. Like,
I think he's a cool character though.
So like, let's talk about the top of the barrel, right? You got your Batmans, you got your Supermans. Let's talk about the middle of the barrel. You got your Aquamans, you got your Flashes. Let's talk about the bottom of the barrel. You got your Moon Knights.
Moon
You got your Moon Dogs. You got your Drapery Mans. You got your, you got your incredible water guy, things. Like there's all these. I'm making these up. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But there's all these characters that like they make comics of that no one really knows or remembers them. They're lost to time. But now they're like, shit. Endgame just made $1 billion fucking dollars. Let's see if we can get 100 million off of.
That's what Sony's
the leopard, or whatever it is.
Hey guys, come watch